Artist isn't on here.
We'll wait for artists. This meeting of the Tyler ISD Board of Trustees was previously called to order. We do have the presence of a quorum. The meeting has been duly called and the notice of the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required. We are reconvening from executive session, and as we always do, we'll start this meeting off with a prayer and the pledge. Mr. Martinez.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we love you. We thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcomes of our school events, and for our teachers and staff. We ask that you bless this meeting, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our conversations and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Lord, I ask that you be with our students. Protect them, keep them healthy, give them guidance in the choices they make. Please provide them with energy to finish the second half of the school year strong. For our teachers and staff, please provide them with patience and compassion. Help them to always have the right words of encouragement for each student. Help them to continue to show the enthusiasm for their profession as we work through the challenges of our times. Give our parents willing hearts to serve you by spending time in our classrooms or at home and be actively involved in their child's learning. Finally, Lord, we ask that you keep love at the forefront of our minds and the guiding light for all we set out to accomplish and celebrate. We ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martinez. Before we start this meeting, I did want to make just a statement. It might not be brief, but some of you might or might not realize that as of Friday that me and Ms. Harrison and Ms. Atkins, nobody filed to run against us. And so I just would like to thank, first of all, the people from District 1 for allowing me to serve on this board the last 9 years and to entrust me with the honor of serving this community and the district for the next 3 years. Congratulations once again to Ms. Atkins and Ms. Harrison. I've always maintained that one of the main reasons that I do this is to protect the integrity of this board and to serve the community and the children of Tyler ISD as best I can. And it's never been more apparent to me right now than now that we need calm and measured and reasonable people serving at all levels, but especially the local level. I'm going to take a walk down memory lane for a second. I came in as a board member in 2013, fresh off passing a big bond that included Moore and Bolter and 3 Lakes and a career and technology center, but also in the midst of a situation where the district was not meeting community's expectations academically. We had an interim superintendent, we had 3 new board members, and within a year we'd be interviewing for a new superintendent, and we'd have 2 more new board members. We'd also have 13 schools on the state's improvement required list. So that was 5 fresh board members out of 7, a young superintendent from West Texas with 1 stop under his belt prior to Tyler ISD, who was tasked with managing a large rebuilding program from a facility standpoint, but also, more importantly, a rebuilding program from an academic standpoint. So the motto, "Tradition will get you beat," came about. It was often used, and soon we began taking on challenges that had been solidified in tradition. We were still under an antiquated federal desegregation order from 1970. It kept us from operating our district unfettered by federal government. They had to approve attendance zone changes and bus routes. A federal government that didn't know the difference between Grande and Gentry wanted us to ask their permission to do the most basic things a local body should be able to do. And it took a courageous board to end up suing the federal government in order to get out from under that order. But more importantly, to get out from under the traditions that had held this district back. And so after we drew attendance zones for the first time in 50 years, enabling us to efficiently utilize the facilities our community had blessed us with, and have zones that actually made sense if you looked on a map. I don't know how many of y'all remember those, but it was crazy. I think we had 30 attendance zones for 25 campuses. We would redefine what our district was all about. We set clear and measurable goals, and we created a mission statement that simply said, we focus on successful student outcomes. And by 2017, we were rolling. Schools were improving. We had knocked back the amount of improvement required schools down to 3, and soon to be just 1. It was capped by passing the largest bond ever called in Tyler ISD history, by the largest margin of any bond called in the state that year. It was 83% to 17. And our community knew it was time for new high schools, and they supported us in an unfathomable fashion. Then 2018 occurred, and new issues that had nothing to do with academics were just thrown on our doorstep. Issues that were brought up and influenced by an ever-increasingly volatile national political atmosphere. Social issues were at the forefront, and they sent us into an era of increased scrutiny and some divisive rhetoric. And we recalled about every name in the book back then, from a neo-Confederate to a socialist. Naively, I never expected that. But it made me realize how important it is for our community to have rational and reasonable people in elected positions. And then 2020, blindsided by COVID and loud voices from every angle scrutinizing every thought and decision. Yet, district leadership remained poised. We had in-person graduations for the class of 2020. That was a big deal. We came back to school as scheduled in mid-August. We brought kids back in person more quickly than most anybody in our size in the state or bigger. We made mask optional as soon as it was reasonably possible, and all the things that we did brought scrutiny from some direction or the other. All the while, paying off debt early, lowering the tax rate, and I look back and it was possibly the most impactful decade of Tyler ISD history, that right there. So as of late, it's library books. And even before anybody had spoken publicly at a meeting about that issue of reprehensible material existing in our libraries, our superintendent, thankfully, had already begun pulling those books, as he's authorized to do by policy. And as more information emerged about other books, we'd pull that content. I was embarrassed, along with our superintendent and the rest of the board, that any such book could have entered into our walls. However, when the time came to act, we acted as quickly as any organization could have. You don't get governmental bodies acting as quickly as we did there. And there are policies in place to ensure it doesn't happen again, as well as policies in place if any other content is discovered of that nature. But there's a bigger issue in play. And multiple times over the course of the last few months, I just got to get this off my chest, when the district made it known that these books had been pulled and there were policies in place to prevent it from occurring again, instead of reaching out to administrations for answers on the topic, certain people shamefully read this content aloud in front of young audiences who would not have heard it otherwise. People chose to attack board members personally, having never met them, calling these good people that are called to serve on this board undoubtedly by a higher power the worst names and likening them to pedophiles or underage groomers, making entirely false accusations against them, all the while preaching about Tyler values, as if they'd been here long enough to learn how to say our names correctly. Well, I've been here for 40 years, and I love this town, and I've chosen to forego family time and business endeavors and all sorts of other things to serve in this community and uphold the values that it represents, one of which is speaking to people in a cordial and hospitable manner, being gracious under difficult circumstances, and working things out like civil people do, being quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. No Tyler value is name-calling, lying, and attacking the character of people you've never had a conversation with. And some people ask me why I choose to spend my time serving on a school board when there's so much public scrutiny and criticism and so little appreciation. And especially, why would I choose to run again when the world seems to be going mad? Well, one, because I love my hometown. I love its character. I love its personality. And because of that, I refuse to hand it over to anyone who hasn't got a clue about who we are and what we represent. Someone who decides to attack a local district because of what's on the national news before learning about what their local district actually stands for. And I'll continue to serve Tyler as it grows, and I'll try to maintain the charm and character that people love about this town through that growth. And I'll strive to be a reasonable and rational voice in a world of extreme for the sake of the people of Tyler, Texas. Lord willing, we'll continue to lower the tax rate. And yes, I'm sure it'll happen shortly. I'll continue to sit quietly up here on the dais during public comment, as the law requires. In closing, since I didn't draw an opponent and won't be campaigning, in spite of some people's efforts, I wanted to again publicly thank the citizens of District 1 for trusting me to do this job, thank this board for putting up with me, and especially the time I've taken here. And I know I'm not perfect, but I'll always do my best to serve my God, my community, and the students of Tyler ISD through this position. So thank you, and that's all I wanted to say. And we can get on with this meeting. I think we have special recognitions.
Begin by announcing our February District Students of the Month. The elementary student of the month is Javier Arriaga, a 5th grade student at Austin Elementary School. The secondary student of the month is Anaya Hartsfield, a 10th grade student at Tyler High School. At this time, please join me in watching a brief video about these two outstanding students.
Tyler ISD would like to recognize the efforts of our 2 District Students of the Month. These students are nominated by their teachers and school principals. Students are recognized for their excellence in many areas, including academics, leadership, campus, and community involvement. These outstanding qualities lead to successful student outcomes both in and outside of the classroom. We would like to introduce our first Student of the Month, a 5th grader from Austin Elementary School.
Hi, I'm Javier Arriaga, and I'm Student of the Month for February.
Javier chooses to help others every day, leaving lunch as soon as he finishes eating to assist the office and administrative staff.
My job is office assistant, and I help all the principal and principal assistants, including the library. That can be helpful for every single teachers and principal.
He has good instincts, knowing what needs to be done and the best way to do it.
He helps with time management and productivity. He takes care of a lot of things that we don't think to do. He comes in and just certain questions he has helps to keep things running smoothly around here.
Our secondary Student of the Month is a sophomore from Tyler High School.
Hi, I'm Anaya Hartsfield, and I'm Tyler ISD Secondary Student of the Month for the month of February.
Anaya has demonstrated the highest level of competence and dedication as a student, and she has unprecedented enthusiasm for her work.
I just try to focus on my education and just blur out all the outsiders. I actually enjoy math. I'm in pre-calculus right now, and it's just very easy to me. I'm going to be doing college math next year.
She is extremely bright and works hard to maintain her #1 academic ranking in her sophomore class. She's also a valuable member of the varsity basketball team.
She has proven to be an enthusiastic, motivated, responsible young lady. Students like her are the reason that I teach. She's able to balance a really rigorous academic course load as well as lead Tyler High's basketball team.
In Tyler ISD, we are committed to graduating all students with the knowledge, skills, and habits necessary for success in college, careers, and life. Congratulations to these students for their hard work. sponsored by Texas Bank and Trust.
Congratulations to both Javier and Anaya. You will receive your awards. Congratulations to Cora Garvey, a first grade student at Rice Elementary School, for winning the 2022 Arbor Day Art Contest with her original creation featuring a snowman nestled under a beautiful tree. And we have her principal, Mr. Smiley, here, wearing one of the shirts made with Cora's artwork for the Arbor Day celebration. We also celebrate our District Teacher of the Month, Sam Beasy, an advanced construction technology, engineering, and architecture teacher at the Career and Technology Center. From his outstanding first year in teaching, Mr. Beasy has continued to grow professionally and does an outstanding job of utilizing engaging instructional practices that incorporate hands-on, project-based learning to support his students' higher levels of achievement and success. Mr. Beasy is a team player and always willing to assist with whatever is needed at the CTC, as well as throughout the district and community. Congratulations, Mr. Beasy. Congratulations to Tyler High School's Sharmesia Jackson, a career and technology teacher at Tyler High School, for being selected as the 2022 Texas Alliance of Black School Educators Teacher of the Year. And this concludes our recognitions for the evening. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. I'm so proud of everybody who got recognized, and public comment, public participation is the next portion of our meeting. We have two speakers, and the first one is Brian Hernandez. Apologize if I got your first name wrong. Did I say it right?
No, it's Brian Hernandez.
Brian?
Yeah, just in
Sorry,
Spanish.
man.
Yeah, sorry.
Fooled me.
Good evening, Dr. Crawford and members of the board. I'm actually here to speak about the Bond 2022 proposal regarding the early college campus. I have some strong opinions regarding the school, as well as many other people. I think the proposal does not do justice to the high school. I feel like the plan does not recognize the high school for what it has done. I have some points that I think needs to be addressed in the plan. Some of these points is the facilities that are not part of the plan. Some of the facilities are the field, the gym, as well as the basketball court. These are all facilities that are part of the Stewart campus right now and are facilities that are used in the early college campus. Some of these usements of the facilities are Career Day, which is organized by the AVID. Those are some events that are organized in the gym, as well as College Fair and Summer Bridge. We also host the Carter Blood Care at the gym, and the gym is also utilized for different events regarding fundraising. We have the annual Fall Festival at the gym, and we also have different dances at the gym. We have our Halloween dance, winter dances, and they've also had their annual homecoming dance this year. And also, the gym is also used for PE, and clubs are also utilize this gym. Clubs utilize the basketball court, and clubs utilize the field. Some of these clubs are basketball, soccer club, and a new club that they have, which is called Archery Club. They all utilize these facilities, which are not part of the plan. Another thing that I want to address is the shared cafeteria. To me, it does not seem right that 1,800 CTC students attend CTC and will share the cafeteria with 600 proposed early college students. I'm not sure what schools share the same cafeteria and the same plot of land. Again, according to the Smith County Appraisal District, the CTC sits on 24 acres of land and early college sits on 23 acres of land, which I find pretty ironic that two high schools will be sharing a 23-acre land. And as Dr. Marty Crawford addressed last week, ECHS is the number one ranked public high school in East Texas, the number one public high school in Tyler ISD, and is one of two rated A schools from the district. It's actually, it outranks Bryan Elementary, which has a ranking of 90, and Early College High School has a ranking of 97. Some of these points I feel need to be addressed in the new plan. I don't see a reason why early college needs to be moved. I mean, I was a 2020 graduate. I don't know why the suggestion of moving such an amazing school. I find it wrong, to be honest, moving it. I don't see, like I said, I don't know any other high schools in the district that share the same plot of land, let alone any other high school that is A-rated, number one ranked in the district. I feel like these points need to be addressed, and other people do. A petition was started two days ago online, and I have the signatures right here. There's 160 counting people that have signed it. Current, former, and other members of the community have signed this petition. I want to see this addressed. I don't think it's fair, to be honest, because early college is not a program anymore. It's not a high school. It's recognized by the TEA, and it's number one ranked high school in the district. But I don't want this to happen to my high school. I feel like the high school deserves to be built. I'm not against new schools. I like the idea of Hubbard being rebuilt and early college being rebuilt, but I feel like they need to be rebuilt right. They have the land to be rebuilt. Other schools have been rebuilt on the same plot of land. Moore, Bolter, they've all been rebuilt while school is in session. And then one more thing, Dr. Marty Crawford explained what Stewart's going to be used for. He said that, and I quote, where is my thing? That Stewart will be used for the expansion of Rice. I do not see the point of, I'm not trying to offend anybody in Rice, but I do not know why y'all would promote the expansion of Rice when Rice is supposed to be such a small program. I feel like Rice students are there because they need more help, because other schools like Tyler High and Legacy were not fit for those students. And I feel like Early College deserves Stewart, deserves to stay there. That's their home. They built their home there. The first graduating class, even, have a time capsule there. It's like, it's such an important school for the district, and I'm not sure why it needs to be removed. I don't know if any of y'all know, I don't know if any of y'all are aware of the clubs that I mentioned or the events that go on in Tyler and ECHS. I'm not sure.
The reason we're being so quiet is because we're like legally bound not to respond or interact. But thank you for your comments, and duly noted. Appreciate it.
I hope y'all take into consideration.
Thank you.
you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Okay, we have the next public speaker is Bob Brewer. Mr. Brewer.
Well, thank you all for this opportunity, and thanks for cleaning up the library at Legacy. My talk this evening may help you make it even better. And happy George Washington's birthday, which is tomorrow. And if we ever get it on its right day, I hope we won't have school board on the birthday of the founder of our country, who was arguably one of the most Christian men ever, and without the education that he received, we would have never gotten as far as we've gotten, and we would never have had the opportunity to fall as far as we are falling. So thanks again for getting the pouring out of Legacy. I did bring one book that I'd like to offer to fill some of the vacant spots. It's called The Mission of God by Dr. Joseph Boot. He wrote a book, The Mission of God. And I said, what am I doing buying an 800-page book and I can't put it down? So that's what I would hope that our students might get involved in. Now I'm going to be repeating myself from prior presentations. How are our students going to know what's on the first sentence of U.S. law when they read it, but they don't understand the words they're reading? And the set of words that I'm talking about are the laws of nature, which is creation. That's the laws of nature's God. We're all created in His image. So we can't have any of this CRT stuff. There's no racism in God's creation. We're all created equal. There's no genital mutilation. There's no telling parents how their kids should be taught specifically in school. But I want to go back to Washington. The books that they used when he used them was something that everybody ought to be carrying around with them. And if everybody was, from his time to this, we certainly wouldn't be in the position where we are. We wouldn't have had to hire 2 more FBI agents to keep security for 30 campuses that we have. And I'd like to remind y'all and teach anybody that hasn't heard the first bill that our founders passed after we signed the treaty with England was to commissioned 10,000 books for use in school. Those books were the Bible. 17 of those guys went on to sign the Constitution. So there's no way this side of Hades that having the Bible in school is unconstitutional. We have just bowed to the devil because of our ignorance of the word. And it's really time to step up and get the books back where they belong. I want to see them in the fingers of 4-year-olds. And it was when they made when the Encyclopedia Britannica made the greatest of great books, the only one they left out was the one that everybody had. And unless everybody has it during their education, they ain't gonna know what they need to know to avoid what we're headed for. So I appreciate what you did cleaning it up. I'd like to make it more of a shining light, and you will see the light in those children's faces when they start studying the Word. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brewer. Now we move on to the approval of minutes. We have the workshop from January 13th and the regular meeting from January 24th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Next, we have on our continuous improvement and student outcome section a review of our Goal 3 advanced placement dual credit and CTE certification update. Mr. Brown, always good to see you.
Very good to be here. Is this on?
Sounds like it is.
I think it is. Okay. Board President Washman, Dr. Crawford, and trustees, I appreciate the opportunity to share some information relative to District Goal 3, successful student outcomes. Just a reminder of the goal itself that was adopted in the summer of 2020. It said the percentage of our graduates that were CCMR ready would increase from 63.4% to 71.7%. And one thing at the very beginning of this presentation I would say, just a reminder, that the information is lag data on graduates. I'm going to mention that a couple of times in the presentation, but when it says 2019, it's talking about the class of 2018. And as you see numbers, it's always referring back to the class of the preceding year. So these are the measures that are the indicators that are used to determine a college, career, and military ready graduate. We're going to specifically look at just a few of these in this particular report. The college readiness measures or indicators, the career readiness indicators. One thing I would point out right here is that when the goal was drafted and approved, that we included the CTE coherent sequence. Some of you will remember that if students stayed in a pathway or program of study, they could earn some level of credit. That has since been removed, and I'm going to also mention in the report that it's coming back. So it's dropped off for a couple of graduating classes, but we feel like this year it's going to come back on. And then the military readiness is a component that with the current seniors, the class of 2022, this will no longer be an indicator. So really what we're looking at, and so there's a couple of fluctuations in the indicators over these years, is that the career readiness and the college readiness are the two primary things that we'll study. Now we obviously still offer Army, GROTC, National Navy Defense Cadet Corps at our two high schools, so they're getting the military preparation. It's just not an indicator anymore. I just wanted to mention it. The ones specifically in this report are going to be the AP exams, the dual credit English and math, as well as the overall college credit that students earn, and then the industry-based certifications. So just to look back when the goal was approved originally, and just a reminder, that is the class of 2018, but it's in the 2019 Texas Performance Reporting System, the report, that Tyler ISD was just a little bit behind the region. It's about a percentage point each, and then at Texas, it was a couple of percentage points behind we were as a district. The good thing is that we had started to address some of these indicators in the previous couple of years. So as the seniors and the graduating class was moving up, we already we'd put some measures in place to make sure that those were addressed. So if you look at the 2021, which is the most recent performance reporting system numbers, you can see that we've actually increased, and this is even with the loss of the CTE coherent sequence. And you can see what happened at the regional level. There was a drop of about 5 percentage points, and at the state level dropped 2.5 percentage points. So we've been able to not only maintain, and I'll mention the pandemic as well, but maintain that, but then continue to grow.
That's the class of 2020?
That is the class of 2020.
Attaboy, Jackson.
It's class of 2020, yes, sir. And I would just mention right here that based on, and once again, there's some tweaking that has to happen, but for the class of 2021 that will be in the 2022 report, we think it's going to be around 67%. So we expect to see that next jump for that next class, just as a projection. So diving just a little bit deeper into some of the specific indicators, AP exams and the trends. If you go back to May of 2020, we had 490 students that took 871 exams. I will just remind you that that was the spring that we didn't come back to school. So we were very fortunate to even be able to offer the AP exam that spring. And it felt pretty good that we had that number, but it did dip a little bit from the previous year. We saw some of the lingering effects, not a lot, but a few less students and then a few less passed exams as we went through kind of that phase. The projections, though, looking at this current year's students, these are students that are in class now, they have to order exams in advance. So they've already been, the orders have been placed. We've had 614 students order exams. And so if they go ahead and sit for the exams in May, they're going to be over 1,000 exams taken. Now that number, I want to make sure that I'm clear on, that's a projection. We've been running around 52% pass rates. So if we maintain that, we could see more than 300 AP exams passed in this next go around. So once again, just a projection, we're seeing those numbers go back up. On the dual credit indicator, and these are students that I'm sharing, it's not credit hours, or some of these students are taking 2, 3, and some are even 4 dual credit classes, so there are thousands of college credit hours that are being earned. These are the actual students. So if you refer back to, if you look at 2018-19, the 1,253 dual credit students, we actually had more than that number in the 2019-2020 school year. Some of our students, when we didn't return to school that spring, some of the seniors in particular, Tyler Junior College was going through the same thing. Some of those students chose not to continue in the college class. They were kind of given that opportunity. So they stayed, got the high school credit, but didn't continue. So we saw a slight dip there. And then a pretty significant dip in 2020-21, last school year. And there are several things that contributed to that. One is that the recruitment and all of the qualifications for students to take dual credit courses the next year occur in the spring. And it's very, very heavily laden in March, April, and May. So it's the best that we could. We tried to stay in communication with students, but we did have some students that dropped off in that year. The good news, I guess you could say, is that as you look at the current school year, the trend is back up. We've got some of those students back in dual credit classes, many of them taking multiples. And I would also add one additional thing, just to kind of bring this into context, that the TSI test is one of the primary requirement for a student to take college classes. Tyler Junior College does allow us to use STAR EOC scores in, of course, exams, Algebra 1 and English 2. And in 2020, in that spring, our freshman students that were in Algebra 1 did not take that exam, and our English 2 students that were sophomores in that year. So we did not have those scores to use as a substitute. So there were some students, and we've been working diligently to get the TSI scores, which is the key indicator anyway, it's college readiness indicator, back up. But those numbers are moving back in the right direction. On the CTE indicator with the industry-based certifications, we've got approximately 4,150 high school students. Obviously, it fluctuates each day in the 26 programs of study. For Legacy High School and Tyler High School, that's 90% of the students. 9 out of every 10 students is in a CTE class right now. I put on there that was CTE month too. I got to put a shout out. February is National CTE month, so we're promoting that certainly. If you look at this time last year in February of 2021, that number of industry-based certifications earned in February was at 98. So we currently stand at 167. We've increased that number. Our target for the year is 522 certifications. We feel like we're well on our way. One of the things in this number is that our health science, which is our largest program of study, those certifications occur primarily in March, April, and May. So that would be patient care technician, certified nursing assistant, EKG, EMT, pharmacy tech. All of those will occur in March, April, and May. These are the top certifications as of today that our students have earned in the district. Those should 30-hour, there are 58 students have earned that. Non-commissioned security officer level 2, 37, that's in our criminal justice program. The Autodesk Inventor Professional, 30 students. Adobe Certified Associate out of Advanced Graphic Design, 14 students, and then our Autodesk Revit Architecture, we have 11 students so far that have earned that certification. So we really expect to reach that 522 goal and then even exceed it, hopefully. And those are those three primary indicators and where we are at the midpoint, actually past the midpoint in the school year.
Okay.
Are there any questions? Or
Thank you for that presentation. How many overall certifications are available to get? I know it's just a big.
There are 200 on the state list. There are 200. It's 213, 11 or 13. The state is reviewing that list. This will be the year that they come in. It's been up for review. We anticipate getting a new list that will head into next year, and I think that it will grow. The good thing is that the ones that we have focused on with our students and our programs, we anticipate to be maintained.
Great.
On the list.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Brown?
Clarification, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
The military readiness indicator, go ahead and mention this to the board and public, why that indicator's more than likely, it is going away, but what might more than likely caused it.
Well, this is my understanding, and these are the explanations that I've received, is that it's not something that the state really can track once students graduate and move on, just with the confidentiality of the data and the information. So there are some districts that possibly, it more or less was a letter that was just kind of said that this student is in the military, but there was not a way to track or follow up on that. And so just for integrity in the system, I think they decided to move away from that one.
You're being awfully nice. There were folks that were having assemblies to have recruiters come out and speak to their high school students that were checking that box as military readiness. That's not what we did.
That's not what we did. No,
But that's one reason it's going away. The other thing on the coherent sequence of courses, it used to be a way to score, and then it went away. Coming back?
It's coming back. So the current graduates this year, the class of 2022, the state is bringing that measure back in play, which it went away with the sophomore, junior, and now it's coming back before they graduate. We have not got the final rules on how they're going to determine those indicators and numbers. We think that it probably is going to be a half a point awarded for the program of study completion, staying in the coherent sequence, and then add the other half point for the certifications.
Yeah, Representative Dan Huberty was the author of House Bill 5 eons ago, and that was a big deal to try to pump more career technology education focus. And the legislative session, not this last one, but the one before that's the one that wiped that clean, and they brought it back. And I appreciate now retired Representative Huberty bringing that back.
Anybody else? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Always good to see the good data coming out of those programs.
No, Mr. Brown, sorry, buddy. AP scores, how's the district faring? 17 out of 23 AP exams?
Last round, we exceeded the state.
We exceeded the state average. Does that include just the K-12 public schools?
All public, all charter, all private.
Oh, okay, thank you for reminding the board of that.
Thank you. Okay. We are to our business, legal, finance consent agenda. Typically, we do pull item B, which is gifts and donations, just to highlight that. And unless anybody else has anything they'd like to pull on items A through F, with the exception of B.
F, item F.
F, okay.
That is a general question.
So we will pull F, and we will pull B. So do I have a motion?
Motion to approve A, C, D, and E.
Okay.
And business,
Second.
legal, finance, consent.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. So let's go to item B, which is gifts and donations.
Item B, gifts and donations on page 16. You've got two donations, one from the Jack Elementary PTA for the Leader in Me program. That's we are a lighthouse school at Jack that upon its founding, everybody knows that Dr. Brian C. Jack was on the plane that went into the Pentagon, actually was near his office. They've had this from inception. Sean Hill, principal there, brought that on board, and we are now a district-wide Leader in Me district. Very appreciative of Jack Elementary PTA contributing $5,000 for that. The other one is from Andrew and Grace Cryer, $5,000 to Ramey Elementary School to library to purchase appropriate library books. With controls in place to make sure that that happens. So I won't go too deep into that. We're very appreciative of these folks and their donations, the Criers and the Jack Elementary PTA.
Awesome. Well, it takes a village, and I'm so happy to live in a community where people are willing to donate towards the education of their kids. Do I have a motion to approve these gifts and donations?
I move we approve the gifts and donations.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Bartfeld. Do I have a second? Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, and the motion carries, and with a grateful heart, we accept the gifts and donations. And, okay, so Mr. Newsom, you wanted to hear a little bit more about installation of athletic sand pits for Tyler High and Legacy.
Yep. So the strength conditioning coach and the football coaches at both high schools have requested these sand pits be installed for off-season purposes. I'm not as familiar with it, but they certainly use those as far as strengthening your knee stability, your ankle stability, your shoulder stability, among other things. It's kind of a new way of training, or an old way of training that's coming back around new again, and they've requested the board consider that to be installed at both high schools.
My question was in relation to it being added this soon after completion of the high schools, and is it something that they didn't realize they needed, or is it something that couldn't be included in the bond, or?
It was
Yeah.
not, yes, sir, it was not programmed into the bond.
Okay.
And, when they came to me and asked whether or not we would want to bring this in front of y'all, I didn't really want to put debt service money into sand pits. So this is money that's actually in capital that we've got inside of our budget to be able to do annual projects like this and not take on debt service a debt service as far as a sand pit goes.
Yeah. Well, I support the project, and I just wanted to know why it came up so late and so soon after completion of both schools. As a physical therapist, I agree this is one of the best ways to strengthen and condition the lower extremity by doing that. Yeah. Not
Yes,
opposed
sir.
to it at all.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I move that we approve the proposal from Hetty's for the sand pits at both schools.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, and the motion carries, and sand pits are coming. Okay. Now we have curriculum instruction and consent agenda. We have a district calendar for the 2022 and 2023 school year, and the Boshears Center calendar as well.
That's right. On page 22 and 24, please reference your agenda packet. We won't go down the calendar again like we did last time, but just some highlights, and there was a couple of tweaks that we were able to perform after getting feedback online. Obviously, August 15th is the start date. It goes all the way to May 26th as the last day of school. You've got sporadic breaks in there, very similar to this year. Thanksgiving break in November. December, you actually have your typical 16-day break for staff. I'll have you note on one tweak that we did make is on January the 2nd. That was a day off, but that's actually an identified work day for staff. That's one thing that came back in the survey was that they needed a work day prior to students returning. We did consider still taking that day off completely and then having the work day on the 3rd, but as we matched up what the community expectations are, that most people go back to work on January the 2nd, finding childcare for another day after having 16 straight days off just wasn't going to work. So we were able to accomplish giving the staff a work day that day in preparation for the upcoming semester. That could be a late arrival day. We haven't really talked about that or not, about whether or not what time we're going to come in or not for campus staff. For 226ers, we will start bright and early at 8 o'clock in the morning, y'all. So it goes through there. Obviously, that's happens. One other change we did make that we heard very positive feedback from parents and staff alike was our ability to put at least one 3-day weekend in each month. And that's where you see in February an early release day on the 9th and the 10th of February off. That was our winter break. As y'all remember, we had Fomageddon the week before that, and then we came back and they actually had that happen. And let's hold off this Wednesday and Thursday for any type of school closures. But as we go along, our spring break does match up with other school systems here in East Texas, and it does match up with TJC. That's a big deal for early college, high school, and for our dual credit students as well. That's a little bit deeper than what the district used to do. It's more in the middle of the month. It doesn't match up with Baylor's spring break anymore. It actually matches up with the state schools. So as you go forward down there, Good Friday, we don't risk Good Friday and gamble with that being a bad weather day. We take Good Friday off here in Tyler, Texas. And so that's been a change that we've made for the last 8 years now. And we get down to May. Graduations are that weekend of the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th for our 4 high school programs. Oh, by the way, they graduate, 90 or so kids early college, high school, average on 75 to 80 kids per year from RISE, and then certainly hundreds from Tyler High and Tyler Legacy High School. So that's the calendar in a nutshell. You've got brochures on the next page for y'all to reference. Of course, y'all know they're a year-round calendar to serve the student population that they have there. They have vetted their calendar for approval as well. We took feedback on that as well, and those calendars are both in front of y'all tonight for consideration for final reading and adoption.
Okay, well, as always, it's good to get feedback from the community on these items, and I personally have liked going to that mid-May graduation schedule. I think that's a good call. Didn't used to be like that. It always used to be June 7th or 6th or 4th.
Yeah, I think our high school campuses are appreciative of go ahead and showing the seniors, celebrating the seniors a week or so in advance to kind of clear the palate. Seniors are ready to go home as well, and I think our staff has been appreciative of that as well. So that has been a neat deal.
Good deal. Okay. Well, any discussion or questions for Dr. Crawford on the calendar? Comments?
Motion to approve the calendars.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Future business, we have a workshop March 3rd. That is my son's birthday. And March 28th, we have a regular meeting. And I will go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move that we adjourn.
All right. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.